Module 1, Lesson 13, Exposure Modes, Aperture Priority. The aim of this lesson is to get you familiar with how Aperture Priority works and when you can use it. Aperture Priority is often the mode of choice for people who have not yet discovered the creative expression that you can have using manual mode. You set your aperture, which is an iris-like diaphragm in the lens, to control how much light enters. The f-stop numbers govern the size of this opening. The smaller the f-stop number, the more light will enter the camera. With larger numbers, less light will enter the camera. In Aperture Priority Mode, as you choose an f-stop to use, your camera will automatically set the shutter speed so your photo will be well exposed according to how the camera is programmed. The aperture setting also has an influence on the amount of your composition that will be in focus. This is known as the depth of field and is an important component of photographic composition. With wider aperture settings, lower f-stop numbers, you will have less in focus. With narrow apertures, higher f-stop numbers, you will have more in focus. Prime lenses with their wider aperture settings allow for a much shallower depth of field. It's good to keep this in mind. There are a number of other factors which contribute to depth of field, and I'll teach you more about these in Module 4. Using Aperture Priority Mode, you can choose to have control over how much of your photo is in focus. This is why many people opt to use this mode. Aperture Priority is good to use with static subjects when the control of your shutter speed is not so vital. We'll look more at shutter speed control in the next lesson. Module 1, Photography Course Challenge number 13. The aim of this challenge is to learn how aperture controls the amount of light that enters the lens and how your aperture choice influences the depth of field. That is, how much of your photo is in focus. Find a static subject that's not too close to a background. Set your camera to aperture priority and choose the lowest f-stop number on your lens. Take 1 or 2 photos. Now change your aperture setting to an f-stop number in the middle of the range your lens has. This may be around f11 or f16 on a kit zoom lens. Take 1 or 2 more photos. Now set your aperture to its highest f-stop number, the narrowest aperture, and take a few more photos. You may need to place your camera on a firm surface or a tripod when you're using the highest f-stop number. At this setting, not so much light is able to enter the lens, so your camera will compensate by using a slower shutter speed. This speed may be too slow to avoid camera shake when you're hand-holding your camera. If you can make some photos where there's strong light in the background, please do. And as usual, take some notes about the photos you're making. Compare the photos on your computer, make sure your subject is in focus, and then check to see how sharp the background is at each of the different settings. And don't forget to copy a few of the photos from this challenge into your favourites folder. Key points from this lesson are: Aperture Priority is often the mode of choice for people that have not yet learned how to use manual mode. In Aperture Priority Mode, as you choose an f-stop to use, your camera will automatically set the shutter speed. Aperture Priority is good to use with static subjects when the control of your shutter speed is not so vital.